We'll note when he arrives.
Right here. YouTube is setting up, so we're coming. You are live.
Good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday, February 24th, 2021 Henrietta Town Board Special Use Permit Meeting. Please call the roll.
Sorry. Councilmember Barley. Councilmember Stafford.
Here.
Councilmember Safranek. Here. Councilmember Bolzner. Here. Supervisor Schultz.
Here. One of the things I again found strange is that some meetings we start with the pledge, some we don't. So I'm actually going to start instituting where we begin our special use permit meetings with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for humoring me. First up, we have application number 2021-005, Caliber Collision Auto Body, Cross Architects PLLC, 40 J. Scuddy Boulevard, to remodel and convert an existing building into an auto body paint and repair shop in an industrial zone district, tax account number 161.08-1-4, as more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. We have representatives. If so, please introduce yourself and say how you're affiliated with the project.
My name is Brett Flory. I'm with Cross Architects. You need my address?
Nope.
Okay.
So in looking at it, this is I think it was called Dave, something digital. And
stereo shop.
It was a stereo shop.
are you going to be taking the whole building, or is there still going to be portion of some other business in the building? Because I know a couple times I had multiple businesses within there.
We'll take the whole building.
Okay. Do you want to give us a description of what you're looking to do? And Jenny, I don't know if we have a plan to throw up on the screen.
So we are going to, like I said, take the whole building. We're going to renovate it inside and out, and it'll look as close to new as possible when we get done with it. Caliber Collision is the world's largest collision repair company. They have over 1,200 stores, almost 20,000 employees. And I've been doing most of their work across the country for the last 8 years. So basically, they work with most of the major insurance companies, and most of their work is done by appointment. And so all the work is done inside the building. And I could go on, but I'm here I can answer any kind of questions that you have.
So is this and I don't know if the term exactly applies, but a franchise or a factory store?
That's all corporate owned.
Corporate owned?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
First, I want to say thanks for taking an old building and repurposing it. That's always something we'd like to look at here.
This is the building owner right here, if you have any.
I'm Greg Barkstrom with 40 J. Scuddy.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Again,
Now,
thank you for repurposing.
Right. That's. I'm sorry.
Is that audio visit for you hear that?
Can you hear me?
Greg Barkstrom with 40 J. Scuddy Boulevard, LLC.
Okay. Did I read where you were going to have 2 paint bays in there?
That's correct.
Okay. Is it going to be a 1-shift operation or a 2-shift operation?
One shift.
Okay, I just noticed when you provided some information here, you had 4 senior painters. And, I know I've been friends with some people who were in the auto body business. I just found it strange that, there's usually only one guy in the paint booth at a time. So
Well, they'll have a helper, but that would be when the shop is, fully matured. It could be a year from now or whatever, but they will put in 2 paint booths to start with.
Right. And I was just wondering why you'd have 4 senior
They
painters.
will probably only have 2 painters.
Okay, so this information isn't okay. And the other question I had was I was kind of concerned about any odor being between Wendy's and
The clubhouse.
the clubhouse. With the kids out, with people around there, outside all the time around those places.
Yeah, with about fumes.
Yes,
or things
and
like that.
odors, yep.
So the paint booths they install, Caliber's the big collision repair company, they industry leader in their operations and all the equipment they use. So they'll be putting in top of the line equipment, top of the line paint booth. The air that comes out of the paint booth is actually cleaner than the air that we just breathe every day. And I can provide documentation on that if you want it. But I do meetings like this all over the country.
Okay.
And I've tell people all the time that sometimes we're putting these next to somebody's house. And I'll say that, if there's a problem, then we can come back and put a scrubber on it. But so far that we've never had to do that. So it's just really not an issue, the fumes coming out of their paint booths.
Okay, that just was one of my concerns, and just out of curiosity, not that we're looking at it here, but you do have the wages here. Was that just a cut and paste from another city, larger city? Because I can tell you that they seem, for the people I know in the auto body business, you should have a line out the door for people trying to get a job there.
Oh, well, that would be like a senior person has a lot of experience, but it is the average painter at Caliber makes over $100,000.
Okay. Good. Thank you. That's all I got right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob has entered the building.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Sir, thank you.
So Rob, we're going over Caliber Collision Auto Body. They're putting in a auto body paint and repair shop at 4J Scuddy Boulevard. They're reusing the former Dave Audio building. They will be using the whole building for their purposes, and we've just started asking questions. So,
Thanks. Sorry I'm late, guys.
No worries.
Millie, did you have any questions?
I guess I just wanted the fire marshal mentioned that you would need to retrofit with the sprinkler system and all of that sort of things, but it sounds like you're planning on doing a major overhaul of the inside of the building.
We
as well.
are. We're planning on dividing the space up into 2 fire areas with a 3-hour fire barrier. So we're not planning on installing a new fire sprinkler system for the whole building, but the paint booths will have their own dry chemicals fire suppression system that will be monitored and hooked in, the fire department will know whenever, if anything's tripped, they'll be notified. But everything that we do will meet code and make the fire marshal happy, so.
Are you bringing people in from other divisions to fill some of those upper management positions, or are you looking for local labor?
I think for the most part, they'll be hiring local. They might bring in a manager to help set it up, someone who knows how to operate the Caliber. This is their first new store that they're in this location in this part of the state. But they're growing up into this area, so there will be more.
I thought I'd seen that you had one in, do you have one in Webster or no? Or is it's not a new store though, right?
It was an acquisition.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that was their first presence here.
okay.
But they don't have much in New York right now, but we have a lot in
Yeah, I saw that.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I saw around the country. And the only other thing I did notice was you're behind the building. And when I went over there, I couldn't because of the snow, couldn't get back there. I see that you're going to pave behind the building also.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna-
currently it's just, I take it it's just dirt or grass.
Yes, it's
I think it's just dirt right now.
Okay, Yeah, I just
There
couldn't,
may be a little, crumbling pavement back there, but
okay.
it's mostly dirt and grass.
Yeah, like I said, I just couldn't get back there with the snow.
Other questions? Do you have anything, Rob?
Nope, I don't have any questions.
Lisa?
Good.
Did you have any questions for us?
I think you'll be happy with Caliber. They're a good neighbor. They do a lot of good things for the communities that they're in and try to give back.
Great.
Beautiful. Once again, thanks for reusing the building.
Do we have any questions from the public, either in the room or online? Hearing none, can I get a motion for application 2021-5?
I'd like to make a motion to approve application number 2021-005, Caliber Collision Auto Body Cross Architects PLLC at 4J Scuddy Boulevard to remodel and convert an existing building into an auto body paint and repair shop in an industrial zoned district, tax account number 161.08-1-4, whereas more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Councilmember Safranek,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolzner,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Congratulations. We look forward to you, again, to bringing the building back online and look forward to your added operations in our town.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Just one clarification, it's 40 J Scuddy?
Yep.
I think it's
40.
It's 40, yeah, I think.
Yep.
Thank you.
Your next applicant, I think, is all virtual.
Okay. Next up, we have application number 2021-006, Plug Power, 1025 John Street, to allow hydrogen fueling production and storage infrastructure in an industrial zone district with a mixed-use employment center overlay district, MUEC, tax account number 175.01-1-9.1, or is more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Do we have a representative, and could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Daniel O'Connell, and I'm the plant manager for the facility here at 1025 John Street.
Could you give us a description of what Plug Power is looking to do?
Sure, I have, I don't know if you can see my screen or not, but we have a research, development, and manufacture of fuel cell and electrolyzer components and systems at the facility that was previously the Alstom facility at 1025 John Street.
And in some of the preliminary meetings, there was talk that this was going to be essentially a two-phase build-out.
It's actually a three-phase. The three phases are, again, in February of this month, we're looking to put an indoor fueling station for refueling forklifts. We have outdoor commercial hydrogen storage that will be 2 to 6 bottles of hydrogen. Phase 2 in April timeframe would be an outdoor hydrogen pad with storage, which would be our first electrolyzer, feeding an indoor refueling station that was previously fueled by the bottles. And then we'll be adding some test equipment that also would run on hydrogen. And then phase 3 would expand that a little farther. As we add equipment and expand production, we put in a second electrolyzer that would again produce and store hydrogen on site.
Great. And so just so people understand, the reason the production and work inside would not normally require a special use permit, but the fueling station, more specifically, the production of the fuel is why they need to be in here for a special use permit. So we're just covering the whole thing, but the industrial use, the standard industrial use doesn't require a special use permit, but the fuel production does.
I want to talk a little bit about the facility location. The
Great.
pad that we're talking about for phase 2 and phase 3 is located in the rear of the building, in an existing parking area that's separate from the rest of the parking area. It's surrounded by large evergreen trees, with the nearest residence is over 1,200 feet away, according to the Google map that I have here. And that pad would be utilizing this space in the back. There had previously been some discussions around the number of parking spots. There are 525 parking spots around the recently repaved parking lot. It looks much nicer than this today. The side lot contains 38 spots, which is what we were talking about here. The phase 2, after we take up those 38 spots, would still have 487 parking spots. And our 2024 headcount projection is around 377 employees. So I think we're well within the allotted equation for parking spots. And then lastly, I want to say that Plug Power designs, produces, installs, owns, and operates over 300 hydrogen refueling sites globally. We've performed over 20 million refueling fills with our forklifts. We employ 25 ex-GM fuel cell experts who previously installed the facility at General Motors out in Honeycomb Falls. We installed and operated the initial 12 hydrogen fueling stations for GM in the US. And those three of those stations were located here in Rochester. And we provided first responder training as part of that project with General Motors as well. So we have a very knowledgeable workforce here that will be able to handle all of the requirements around putting in hydrogen and refueling here. And our corporation has quite a bit of experience. In New York, we have about 600 employees outside of Albany and Latham, New York, which is where our headquarters is. The total employment in the company is right now around 1,400 people. So that's some background on the site and what we plan on doing there.
Great. Questions?
Sure. Thanks for the explanation. Dan, has your company had any emergency safety situations doing the job that you do on the plant, at the plant? And if so, what?
At the plant, we haven't had many issues at all. In fact, we've been doing it in Latham for probably close to 25 years. So we've got a long history of working with hydrogen. In addition to what we learned from GM, we know how to put in all the safety requirements so that we don't have any issues. Over the time, many years ago, we've had issues with refueling. Those have all been corrective actions and implemented so that we have actually a stellar safety record when it comes to dispensing hydrogen with over 20 million fills. So.
All right, thank you.
So this today, is this for all 3 phases, or are we just approving phase 1?
All 3 phases. We wanted to give you an idea of where we're headed in the longer term. So,
Just to be clear, the special use permit will cover again, it really only needs to cover the refueling or the fuel production portion, but subsequent building permits and approval from the fire marshal will be done separately for each phase, because
correct.
right now they don't have the final plans for phases yet, but they have essentially the concept as to what they're going to look like. But so whereas we'll be issuing the special use permit, as you can imagine, they don't want to start phase 1 if they're not going to be able to do phase 2 and 3.
Right.
But like I said, the fire marshal won't sign off on the subsequent phases until those plans are in and they fully met all applicable codes.
Okay.
How big is that building?
155,000 square feet.
Actually, I thought it was actually bigger.
And my understanding is where you're going to have the hydrogen tanks, there is a significant berm around, well, so the buildings to the west, and there's a berm to the south and east. I don't remember what's to the north, if there's a berm between you and the next
Yeah, along the tree line here in the road, there's quite a bit of, I don't know, elevation. So it's really kind of not able to be viewed readily from the road. So it's quite sheltered back behind the trees and the berm, so. And then to the north would be the next facility. And I can't really see it in this picture, but it's quite a ways back in this area.
Okay. That was my recollection, because again, some people ask, what if something happens if you have a catastrophic failure of a tank? Although having some familiarity with those type of tanks, you pretty much have to really try, and even then, they're hard to create a catastrophic failure. But the point being that there is significant earthwork around to shield the neighboring buildings, is my understanding.
Correct. And per the fire code, I think there's quite a bit of other ballards as well as some walls that are required in that area, and we'll be complying with all those. In addition, hydrogen escapes up into the atmosphere very quickly. It rises up very quickly, so it's very difficult to get a combustible mixture in and around the tanks. So any kind of tank issues are very, very rare.
Great, thank you.
When you say production, are you just referring to, are you going to produce equipment there too, or just the gas?
Well, we produce the equipment that actually manufactures the gas. That's called an electrolyzer. It's a stack of plates that when you put water and electricity in, it separates the water into hydrogen and oxygen. We capture the hydrogen, and that's what we store, and then we use in our facility. And we use a fuel cell that then converts that hydrogen with air back into water. And so it's kind of, we're doing the equipment for both to produce the hydrogen and then use the hydrogen.
And then one of the things you'll be doing, correct me where I stray, like if there's retrofitting forklifts, installing the power cells into the forklifts themselves so that they can operate on hydrogen, and thus, if they're in an indoor setting, they're not putting out any pollutant. They're basically putting out water vapor. Is that correct?
They are zero emission forklifts. That's correct. We will take the fuel cell or stack that we manufacture here in Rochester, and that gets shipped to Latham outside of Albany. And then they put those into a complete module, and then they send those out to the factories like Amazon and Walmart warehouses, where they're then installed into the forklift. And then they run those around the Amazon and Walmart warehouses.
Great.
Some of those facilities have up to 400 forklifts in them with refueling stations at every corner of the building. Some of those are 1 million square foot warehouses, and they run around there like a mini city, and they refuel them 3 or 4 times a day.
How many trucks do you expect in and out of there every day?
Probably not too many initially as we start to manufacture it at volume. I suspect, there'll probably be 1 or 2 trucks, maybe 3 trucks in and out of there delivering or picking up raw material or taking out finished product.
And did you say that's in the beginning or when you're in full production?
That would be in full production.
Okay. Cool.
Any other questions from the board? Do we have any questions from the public? Including online? Hearing none, can I get a motion on application 006?
Supervisor Schultz, I recommend we approve application 2021-006, Plug Power, 1025 John Street, to allow hydrogen fueling, production, and storage infrastructure in an industrial zone district with a mixed-use employment center overlay district, MUEC, tax account number 175.01-1-1, -1-9.1, or as more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Councilmember Safranek,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolzner,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Congratulations, and like we said to the last applicant, thank you for reusing an existing building instead of converting greenfield into new construction.
Thank you very much. We're really happy to be here.
Right. Thank you for choosing Henrietta too. Hope it goes well.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh.
Next up, we have application number 2021-008, Himalayan Liquor and Wine Stores Incorporated, 5152 East River Road, Suite 104, to operate a retail store selling wine and liquor in an industrial zone district, tax account number 188.01-1-20.1, or as more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Planned hours of operation are Monday through Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. You please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Reza Armanish. I'm the architect for this project. This project is located in the 5152 East River Plaza. Presently, there is a 7-Eleven right adjacent to this in this project, this liquor store. Also, there is a grocery store on the other end. This is mainly on the west side of the plaza. Of course, there is the space that is vacant right now is twice as big as what we show here. The owner has decided to lease only half of the space. And it's approximately 1,500 square foot, approximately 50 by 28, 29 linear foot. And then the depth is basically 50. On the plan, we show basically the layout, where they receive cashier, and cashier is located, the shelving, and also we have one accessible toilet, and then the storage, and basically a mechanical area. The floor to ceiling right now is approximately to underneath the joist about 12 feet high, but we're gonna drop a suspended ceiling at approximately 10 foot high. The exterior is going to remain as it is. There is a door at the front, there's a door at the back, so it's easily accessed from the front. Also, if there is an issue, exit through the back door is readily available. That's existing. Also, we are going to provide fire alarm system, which is going to be compatible with the existing fire alarm system for the entire complex. The floor, based on my discussion with the new business owner, is going to be mostly ceramic tile, non-slip in the area, and there's going to be two colors. Where the shelves are showing, there's going to be a different color, like 2 by 2 feet, 2 feet by 2 feet by about 3/8 or half an inch tile, and around it is going to be a different color. That's pretty much it. If you have any question, please, I'm open.
Questions from the board?
How many employees do you plan on having?
How many?
How many employees do you plan on having?
Well, it's a family business, so there are 2 brothers and 1 cousin, so there are going to be 3 people working there.
Do you have a liquor license right now?
I believe they do. Yes, they have an attorney that has applied to the New York State to obtain the information, and they have granted that. There was a letter that I attached to the documents which was provided by the owner that we submitted with the package that we submitted to the town of Indiana.
Any prior experience with this?
Do you have any prior experience? Have you sold? No, they graduated from college, and I guess the brothers decided to, based on what I heard from them, decided to go into business and open the liquor store.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any questions?
No.
Lisa?
No.
In terms of, do you know if like the 7-Eleven or the grocery store also sells liquor?
7-Eleven sells coolers and beer. This store, they're not supposed to sell beer or like something light, but basically it's wine and I guess I call it hard liquor.
Right.
The other store, the grocery store is not, maybe, I did the drawings for them. To the best of my recollection, they weren't planning to sell any alcoholic beverages. Maybe beer, I don't know. I don't think they had the permit at the time. Now, maybe in future they may, but they're basically, if they do, it's going to be probably beer or coolers, something light.
Hi there, this is Ileana. I'm the property manager. I'm here for the owners. So according to the New York State liquor license, the liquor license is only for wine and whiskey and other hard liquor types. So you can't actually have beer in the same facility as an actual liquor store.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So basically, it won't be a competition for the 7-Eleven or adjacent grocery store.
That's correct.
Craig?
And
I think Craig had something to
Any
add.
questions from the public?
into the microphone, please.
Ben Kumar Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I think from there are like, so there, I don't think there's any public parks or schools. I know there's no schools. I don't think there's any churches. I know there's liquor license has restrictions on being within a
500.
proximity. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's none of that anywhere,
No,
right?
no, sir. Not within the limitation that the state dictates.
Right. Okay.
You're not going to have any real bright lights or, bright signs or flashing signs or anything, right?
I think the building owner will dictate that. I don't believe they would allow that.
Okay.
Yeah, all signage would have to match the plaza, the fascia of the plaza.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
Steve, it's Kevin Wilson, Director of Building and Fire Prevention.
Yep.
Just like to remind the plaza owner, they'll have to stop in for a sign permit as well for that. For the liquor store.
Once they get, I don't know if they're going to hire someone professional. I hope so. That basically they draw the sign based on what they discuss with the owner. And of course, the building owner also has to, the property owner has to approve that. Then once that's done, then they can submit an application for just the sign separately from this issue.
Is there signage already there?
There
After
is
the space.
not above the space that was an addition that was put on, but there is a foundation sign at the corner. So it would need to be whatever is currently matching the fascia, and then we can add it to the foundation sign out front.
All right, thanks.
Sounds good.
That's correct.
Is the barber shop still there or is that closed?
The barber is there. Yep,
Okay, so this is to the east of the barber shop then?
correct.
Gotcha. Great, thank you. Any other questions from the public or online? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept application 2021-008 Himalayan Liquor and Wine Store Incorporated, 5152 East River Road, Suite 104, to operate a retail store selling wine and liquor in an industrial zone district, tax account number 188.01-1-20.1, or particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Planned hours of operation are Monday through Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Councilmember Safranek,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolzner,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have application number 2021-009, Rochester Cornerstone Group. The project is located at Marketplace Mall, 1100 Miracle Mile Drive, to construct a 4-story plus or minus 150 unit senior housing structure in a commercial B1 zone district with a mixed use redevelopment area overlay district, tax account number 161.12-1-1.1/F, or is more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Please introduce yourself and your affiliation to the project.
Good evening, I'm Ryan Destro from the Associates. Here with me tonight is Eric Wright from the Marketplace of Overlaid and Ryan Green.
We can't hear a word he's saying.
You pull the
Speaking to the
microphone
mic,
closer to your face. Just the whole thing will slide to, yeah, you can take that.
No.
Oh, wait, Craig might not have turned it back on after changing.
He set you up, Ryan.
Oh, that's for Peter.
He thought Peter was going to be there.
All right, I'll start over.
Much better, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ryan Destro from BME Associates. Here with me tonight is Eric Wright from the Marketplace, or Wilmerite, Ryan Brandt from Rochester Cornerstone Group, who's sitting to my right, and also Peter Vars from BME Associates. We're here tonight for 2 special permit applications, both revolving around the Marketplace Mall. We're here for a discussion tonight. We're on the planning board or the town board agenda for next month's meeting for a public hearing. And obviously we'll welcome any input that this board has tonight for our applications. The first special permit application is for to establish a mixed-use development at the Marketplace Mall. And the second special permit application is for the Marketplace Senior Apartments to allow senior housing in the mixed-use development area. For the first mixed-use development application at the Marketplace Mall property is to establish a mixed-use development at the Marketplace Mall property, I'm sorry. That will promote the long-term viability of the Marketplace Mall and also allow a mixture of uses, some of which are not currently allowed under the underlying zoning district. The applicant for this first application for the mixed-use development is the Marketplace, and the area of application is the 105.6 acre Marketplace Mall property. This includes approximately 1,080,000 square feet of building area, and that includes the existing primary Marketplace Mall structure, excluding the URMC Sears lot area, which is currently under different ownership. It also includes the existing Sportsman's Warehouse, the existing Land's End structure, the existing M&T Bank structure, and a proposed 4-story, 150-unit residential apartment senior housing structure. And that's shown on the mixed-use development exhibit that's shown on the screen now. So the application area is everything highlighted in blue on the exhibit shown on your screen. The existing zoning for Marketplace Mall is commercial B1, which is the underlying zoning district. And it also has a mixed-use redevelopment area, MURA, overlay district over it. Per section 295-34-2C of the town code, a special permit is required to allow a mixed-use development in a mixed-use overlay district. In our letter of intent and also on the mixed-use development exhibit, we provided 2 tables. Table 1 identifies the proposed uses within the Marketplace Mall area of application. It identifies each building, its square footage, and the associated use. And the uses are broken into 4 categories. The first one being industrial / medical / office. The second one is commercial. The third one, which is proposed with this secondary special permit application, is residential, and civic space is the fourth use. Table 2 on the letter of intent and also on the exhibit includes the proposed use percentages within the marketplace mall area of application. And per section 295-34.4C3, it identifies the maximum and minimum allowed use percentages for each use. For industrial, medical, office space, the minimum allowed is 0% and the maximum allowed is 35%. And this project proposes 12.3%. For commercial, the minimum is 30 and the maximum allowed is 65% under the code. We're proposing 65.6%. The residential component, the minimum allowed is 30% and the maximum allowed is 65%. This project proposes 14%. For civic space, the minimum allowed is 5% and the maximum is 20%. And we are proposing 8.1% with this application. Per section 295-34.3D, the mixed use requirements, they've been met with this application as the minimum 3 uses of residential, commercial, and civic space are provided. And also the second and third largest component use of each category is comprised at least 5% of the minimum of the mixed use at minimum. And then also per table 2, which was provided in the application, the proposed mixed use development meets the town code area of application percentage requirements for the industrial, medical, office use and the civic space uses, as I mentioned previously. You may have noticed that the proposed commercial and residential uses I highlighted are not within the use percentages ranges per the town code. However, per section 295-34.4C4 of the town code, and I'll quote, "The town board shall have the ability to increase or decrease the minimum and maximum percentage requirements." As such, the applicant requests that the town board grant the establishment of the Marketplace Mall mixed-use development area as it meets the intent of the code to provide multiple uses while allowing flexibility for future development and promoting the long-term viability of the property.
So I'll just jump in there that I was one who encouraged them to do this as an entire mall application, knowing that the large amount of retail would throw the percentages off. But again, when we were contemplating these overlay districts, this was one of the exact uses we had in mind. We put in what are sort of targets for other projects, but one of the things that we knew is for existing projects to revitalize some of these zones, that's why we had the ability for the town board to override those requirements. This is a perfect example of what we want to do here. You know, we would never want to see this mall end up like the Medley Center and all the problems that it went through. And, you know, this ability to revitalize and to get additional foot traffic in the mall can help stabilize and repopulate the mall. If you've been in there lately, especially, you know, all retail took a heavy hit from COVID, malls especially, because in my opinion, there was unfair ruling coming from Albany that if you were in a plaza, you could open, but if you were in a mall, you couldn't. Never understood that one. But so right now the mall is really hurting. The addition of the medical center is going to be a huge boost. The addition of senior housing is a real boost. The other thing, when we were doing these plans, this was part of the comprehensive land use update plan. You know, one of the problems we had is that industrial space was being taken over by apartment complexes, which isn't the best for a town. It reduces the amount of potential employment. Industrial land actually has the best return on taxes the taxes to infrastructure cost ratio of anything you can do in town, apartments actually have the worst. And so when we were looking at that, we were saying, well, where would make good sense to put apartments? And our thought was, hey, we've got these portions of retail areas that, you know, are, for lack of a better way to put it, suffering due to the changes in the global market. And so it seemed to us to be a perfect spot. So when Cornerstone came here with this proposal, again, it's exactly what we're looking to do. So I'm very excited about this. I will also note that there are two ways to calculate the percentages for the overlay districts for the mixed use. One is by acreage. So if you set aside a portion of the parcel for a particular use and they can build within that. The other is by square footage, and that one is used when an individual building has multiple uses, which is the case with the mall. You know, so basically when we talked about this, the central mall court and the food court, as well as any, you know, if they were to ever put picnic tables around one of the ponds, for instance, to create a picnic area for whether it's the public or whether it's the folks at the mall, employees of the hospital, whatever, that those would all be considered civic space. And then the retail stores obviously are commercial. The apartments are obviously residential. And then the hospital, plus if you were to add any, you know, as I had said, one of the possibilities, depending on where you want to go with it, if Macy's, the former Macy's building, for instance, were ever converted to office space, that would count as industrial as well. So very excited. I thank you guys for Wilmerite for on short notice putting this together. You know, like I said, I think this is a move in the right direction because I know how hard the mall is being hit right now. So, questions?
With this being senior housing, are you going to have it set up so that there are seniors, if they need medical care or if they need something, that is it going to be a little more than just senior housing? Is it going to be hitting more towards amenities there for them, doctors or beauty shops or things like that?
Everyone hear me? Sounds like it. So I am Ryan Brandt from Rochester's Cornerstone Group. So so 150 units, 4 stories. It's is what we have planned right now. So 142 one-bedrooms and 8 two-bedrooms. So there are some supports and services that are planned. So it's intended. So all we're looking at pursuing state financing. So there would be income limits for the seniors that live there. There would also come with it for actually specifically 45 of the units, some enhanced case management and services. They would help them with exact primary health care, just a variety of services. What we've been hearing from, actually we heard a panel this morning discuss this, is the kind of navigating some of the support services that are out there. So, you know, people, their medications, their primary care, transportation, everything like that. And of course, people probably know the Reimagine RTS, this kind of, I think once URMC gets up and running, my understanding is that this is going to be the hub for the Henrietta, the new RTS. So having that transportation, helping them with that is going to be a great benefit to them. So we'd have two Cornerstone, I guess, managers there, leasing agents and property managers, but there'd be additional support staff there to, like I said, really help them manage, you know, just checking in on them, manage medications. And so there's not going to be a on-site doctor's office, but the connection is to try and make sure they know when their doctor's appointments are, and everything else will be there.
Okay. What kind of rents are you thinking there's going to be on the one bedroom? I know you said that you're going to have some subsidies But what
Yeah.
are you looking at for rents on a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom?
So it'll be income-based or with different tiers. So depending on their income, there'd be a few different rents actually for the 1-bedrooms, anywhere from $425 to $790 per month. And then the 2-bedrooms would be $995 per month for those 8 units. So again, there's kind of a calculation that we do based on their income, whether it's wages, whether it's Social Security, disability, anything else that's coming in, to show what rent level they'd be at.
And are you going to have facilities there, for instance, for meals, like a cafeteria or a place that they can go to have their meals if they so choose? Or is it going to be strictly they're going to be cooking in their own apartments?
Yeah, they'll be cooking in their own apartments. There will be some community rooms and lounges, of course, things like that. But there'll be a kitchenette, a common kitchenette, just not a commercial kitchen or the provision of meals. So obviously Meals on Wheels is very active here in the town, and I'm sure that's going to be a great resource for them to access programs like that too.
Thank you.
But they'd all be kitchens in their apartments though, so they could use that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So you've done some other facilities like this before. What were some of the other facilities in the area?
Yep. So we've developed over the past 15, 20 years over 2,000 units and managed over 2,000 units too. So the most recent ones we've done in the area up in the town of Greece. It's called Cornerstone Point, Long Pond Senior Housing. So those were two kind of different type of programs, but still through the state, through the 2 different branches, one the Housing Finance Agency, one Homes and Community Renewal. So those are up and functioning very well. They have, kind of 2 different programs there that are functioning. But one's the family service communities, and it's Episcopal that's taking over there too. But there's that one actually has the provision of meals and case management services, and so both of those are. I think we're up front there was a little bit of trying to figure out exactly where we're going here, but I think partnering and I think we'll have a very smooth or seamless transition into this. So I would say that those are the 2 most closest local ones we've done to this is the 2 up in Greece.
Right. And out of curiosity, is it just for seniors over a certain age, or would you also be accepting like individuals with disabilities or?
So seniors 55 and up.
Mhm.
There are some limited rules. I can check on it, get back to you in terms of if there's someone that's not a head of household that's living with that person, I think in the 1 or 2 bedrooms that they can live there too. But obviously it's targeted towards the seniors over 55. So I can come prepared with those rules for the next meeting.
That's fine. Thank you. And I guess my one concern, of course, I think it's wonderful to see this kind of mixed use development going in. I was just wondering about things like recreation and walkability for the residents. Is there any plan for anything along those lines?
One of the things, this is Ryan Destro at BME Associates. One of the things that we are proposing is a sidewalk connection to the mall. And it's actually shown on the concept plan now that was submitted. There's a sidewalk that will cross to the northeastern corner of the building. It will cross over the existing access drive to the parking lot on the south side of Miracle Drive, and then cross to the north side of Miracle Mile Drive, and then join up with the existing Marketplace Mall pedestrian sidewalk system, so they can access the mall directly from the Marketplace Senior Apartments project via the sidewalk system.
And I would just add too that we'll have some outdoor community space too. Kind of as you see, it's a L-shaped building that creates kind of a protected space where the parking lot is, and there's going to be a community room. You see one of the doors outside of the building on the inside of the the inside of the L is going to be where the double community room is located. So we'll have a nice patio out there with some raised flower beds and other kind of recreational stuff out there. Now we will have an indoor exercise room with kind of, age appropriate and for all different types of abilities, exercise equipment.
Great,
Are you-
thank you.
Are you going to have security as far as entering the building? How is that going to work? Is there going to be like a key fob, or how would you get in? How will they get into the building?
Yeah, so we've been doing mostly key fobs at our buildings. That has been working pretty well. So you see there's two main entrances kind of midway through each leg of the building on the inside. So the manager's offices are going to be located at those two locations. So what we've done at the ones up in Greece is that especially during COVID, the doors are always locked except for the residents who have a fob. But then there's a buzzer system or where they can either buzz up to the respective unit that they're coming to visit, or if they have a delivery, they can buzz to the manager. But we've been finding that having a fob to get into the building is the best way, and then they'll actually have individual keys for their units too. But our plan would be just those two main entrances to be the ones that are really, there'll be the egress doors out the other sides. But we're trying to, we'd be focusing, especially all visitors and non-residents, towards those two.
So as I mentioned at the workshop, we've been working with Cornerstone Group on the creation of a shelter rent agreement. One of the things in terms of people have always asked the question, if you're getting a shelter rent for affordable housing, how do we monitor it? Well, in this case, because it's being done through a state program, the state's going to be monitoring it. So the way we wrote the pilot agreement is, in order for the pilot to remain valid, if you will, they have to meet the requirements of the New York State. I don't remember, is it Office of Aging, or which one's associated with?
Housing Finance Agency. They would have their regulatory agreement. Yeah.
Right. So that way we don't have to become experts on how that works. They have to meet those requirements through the state.
Great.
I really like the, go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead.
Oh, I really like, really happy to hear the idea of some senior housing and affordable housing. I can say that, I know I've heard a lot about that over the years from some of our older residents, and that there wasn't much affordable housing for them. The one concern I have, and if I recall correctly, being a 4-story building, I think we were here a couple of years ago, and the fire department had some concerns about being 4 stories. Is there? Does Craig have, or you? Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Okay. So, anyways, yeah, that's one of my concerns, is being 4 stories.
I think now they all have to be sprinklered and different, and we certainly have the fire department equipment to reach up to them. But so I don't know if those were, in other words, if the issue is building new 4 stories, or if it was some of the older 4 stories that weren't properly sprinklered. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
But.
And
I'd just like to hear from them too, to make sure that how they feel about this project too.
And to follow up on that too, the International Fire Code requires, for a building of this size, requires an aerial apparatus fire access road to be provided for one side of the building, the entire length of one side of the building. This building is actually providing fire access roads on 2 sides of the building. So Miracle Mile Drive serves as one fire access road, and then there's an existing parking lot drive aisle on the east side of the building that serves the southeastern wing of the building. So the building is served on both sides by aerial apparatus fire access roads.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a few questions. But first, I'd like to say I'm glad to see this project coming in. The affordability guidelines, a lot of our residents have been looking for something affordable, looking to sell what they have and downsize. but what are you gonna buy? So, and where are you gonna go? So this project would help with that situation. A lot of people have been looking for that, especially since it's income-based, so thanks a lot for that. Couple of things. Assuming it's approved, can you really build in 12 months?
Looking more, I think for the whole project, yeah, more like 18.
Okay.
Possibility of, phasing some occupancy, and we obviously working with the fire marshal and the building department about that. We're, how we're able to, maybe they're almost two buildings. As you can
Right.
see, they're kind of connected there. So, so possibility of maybe we can get one in before the other, but a lot of conversation would have to happen about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I noticed on our ELF, there is a environmental remediation within 2,000 feet. Anybody know what that was, or
2000.
maybe Peter? I don't know.
I do not.
Yeah, we can look into that, see what it was. So we'd have obviously.
So just a reminder, we're not making a decision tonight.
Yeah, okay.
We kept them on the schedule because we'd already advertised for it. And this way, we could get some of the information out there if people have additional questions, if you guys have exactly this, so that they can follow up.
All right.
But we'll covering it the next one. One of the questions I have in regards to that, what is the height of the 4-story building?
Just stole my other question.
My point just being, make sure that it's within the height limit of the overlay district. If it's not, then you will have to add a third special use permit for height.
Yes,
Looks like 45.
it's less than 50 feet, so we'll comply with.
Okay, good. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure. I couldn't remember what we set the height. It's been a couple of years now, so. And we also had different districts with different heights, so I couldn't remember what it was. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss that, so.
Being proposed as a flat roof building, I think was going to help us stay under 50, yeah.
Yeah, even if it's a pitched roof, they take the average between the peak and the eave, so,
okay.
but. Okay, sorry, Rob.
And then
Didn't
you
answer
answered
that
one of my
question.
questions, the height. And then the last thing I have is that it says that this project is located in a designated or sensitive archaeological area. Are you guys going to do any testing for that?
Yes, we will follow up on that. As you know, the entire area is previously developed, so the likelihood that there is any archaeological significance in the area is minimal, but we'll follow up with that and follow up with SHPO to obtain the necessary no effect letter. And that
Okay.
will be included with the project SWIP.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
They
That's all I
might
have.
find old things of popcorn, because this was the old movie theater,
Right.
so.
Well, movie stubs, yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
That's all I have.
No, it's an awesome project for Henrietta because, as they said, there's so many people that are looking for something like this. So it's really an exciting project to bring to the town. Very
Did you
much
say that pilot was already drafted?
The pilot is drafted. I've got to get it out. Yeah, you'll absolutely be getting it soon. We've got the finished form. It has to go to the county and the school. And so the plan is to have that in place for us to approve the same night we do the other special use permit.
When do we expect to consider the special use permit for this project?
Do you guys know what the next date is?
4 weeks from now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
you.
As I said, we'll be taking no action on this until the March 24th meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have application number 2021-010, Arthur Jackson Slice and Scoop, 1225 Jefferson Road, to operate a restaurant serving American, African, and Caribbean food in an industrial zone district. Tax account number 162.11-1-1-64.11, or is more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Planned hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Would you please introduce yourself once he's finished the mic and let us know how you're affiliated with the project.
Hi everyone, my name is Abravi Afusu and I'm the owner of Arthur Jackson at 1225 Jefferson Road. And I'm just taking over the old Full Belly Deli restaurant. And we also have our other location on Ridge Road. So like he said, I'm going to operate a restaurant serving American, African, and Caribbean food. And my hour of operation gonna be 11 to 10 p.m. Tuesday to Saturday, and Sunday 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. I will not be doing any renovation or nothing. I did buy some new equipment, and so far that's it.
Okay.
Great.
Well, welcome. Will you serve any alcohol at this establishment? No?
No.
Where's your other location in Greece?
630 West Ridge Road.
Where's that near?
Actually,
That's near Kodak?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know about where you are, okay. How many employees?
I'm gonna have about 8.
Okay. And when are you anticipating opening?
As soon as you guys allow me.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Anyone else?
You asked my 2 questions, so.
No, it's nice to have alternatives to picking up food. This is exciting. This will be nice to have this locally.
As someone who used to eat at Full Belly Deli, I miss seeing them go, but I'll be glad to see someone back in there.
Wow, especially Caribbean food. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
What sort of African and Caribbean food will you be serving?
I'm gonna be serving curry chicken, jerk chicken, shrimp, rice, all type of, lot of good food.
Plantains?
Yes.
Any plantains?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion for you, Mr. Supervisor. Supervisor Schultz, I vote that we approve application 2021-010, Arthur Jackson Slice Scoop, 1225 Jefferson Road, to operate a restaurant serving American, African, and Caribbean food in an industrial zone district, tax account number 162.11-1-64.11, or more particularly described as plans filed in the town clerk's office and posted online. Plan hours of operation are Tuesday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m.
Seconded.
I do have one additional question. I assume from the scoop, you're serving ice cream?
Yes.
Great. Okay, and any further questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Varley?
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford?
Aye.
Councilmember Safranek?
Aye.
Councilmember Bolzner?
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz?
All right. Congratulations. Welcome. We look forward to.
Congratulations.
Do you have any idea when you might be open?
Tomorrow.
You got it.
No, beautiful, yeah.
Great.
It's around the corner from my house, so I'll be
There you go.
enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I will
Thank you.
expect you guys all.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Next up, we have application number 2021-007, Aptitude Rochester LLC, East River Road, to construct 6 student housing buildings with a total of plus or minus 202 units. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to pause 1 second so our interpreter can get set up. Since this is a student housing project, we figure there might be a interested members from the deaf and hard of hearing community. So I'm going to start over again. Next up, we have application number 2021-007, Aptitude Rochester LLC, East River Road, to construct 6 student housing buildings with a total of plus or minus 202 units in an industrial zone district with a mixed-use employment center overlay district. Tax account number 174.02-1-17, or is more particularly described in plans on file in the town clerk's office and posted online. Whereas the special use permit is solely to authorize the residential portion of the project, the developer is also proposing 20% of the parcel to be civic and park space and 30% of the parcel to be for industrial space. Do we have a representative from Aptitude?
Yes. Thank you and good evening. My name's Brian Bouchard. I'm with CHA Consulting, project engineer working on behalf of the applicant. Also with me, just as introductions, is Todd Yule, the principal engineer from my office, along with the development team and the applicant, Jared Hutter, managing partner with Aptitude Development, and Lucas Amalfi, also with Aptitude Development. If it's okay, can I screen share along with the interpreter on the screen here?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pull up the site plan quickly here and just talk you through it. So the site location is along East River Road. It's on the,
I just wanted to make sure it had time to catch up to put the interpreter in the on the screen. She's up there. Okay, go ahead.
All set. Okay, good. And if you need to stop me, please do. I'll try and talk slow as well. Project site is on the east side of River Road. It's just south of the RIT campus, basically between Bailey and Lehigh Station. And it's almost directly across the road from Fairwood Drive. The site itself is approximately 37 acres. And the special permits that we're requesting of the board are 2 special permits, one for the implementation of the mixed-use employment center overlay, along with the second special permit for the residential component of this mixed-use project to be student housing. The site plan itself includes 50% of residential space, and what we've done with our layout is intermixed within that the civic or open space to provide a variety of amenities throughout the residential space, with the 30% of the industrial space being in the rear of the site. We have 2 driveways off of East River Road. One driveway would be the primary residential entrance that serves the residential buildings along with the clubhouse and provides a loop around the site to access all the parking areas. We do have a second driveway entrance to the south of the property, which would be the primary entrance for the industrial portion of the site, so that these uses can coexist in a fashion where the traffic is generally separated, but we also have the ability for fire access and secondary access to the residential component of the project by offering those 2 driveways. The residential component consists of 6 buildings here shown on the screen within the red designated area of residential. These are student housing buildings for a total of 202 units. These are all 3-story buildings. And within the areas in front and behind the buildings, we've provided the various parking spaces that meet the parking requirement of 2.5 spaces per unit. We actually have a few more spaces than what the requirement is so that we can accommodate any visitors or people that are visiting the clubhouse as well. As far as the open space goes, we have understood that there's a plan for the East River Trail that we have designated as our open space along the road frontage to accommodate that trail connection. And we also have a variety of outdoor space within the center of the site that'll provide a lot of different amenities for the residential apartments in terms of behind the clubhouse area, having pools and grills and barbecue pits. There'll be walking trails throughout, along with sports courts and some other pavilions that the residents could use. And the industrial space is contemplated as approximately 40,000 square feet, along with their own supportive parking that we've shown in concept at this point. With respect to the distribution of the mixed-use components that we have here, you know, there is requirements within the mixed-use overlay with regards to density, and within our zoning regulations for development table, you will notice that the rules allow for 8 dwelling units per acre, and we are requesting relief, which is a provision within the code for this board to grant exceptions to the minimums and maximums of those rules to allow an increase in the density to 12 units per acre. And the reason why we're asking for that is because we have approximately 50% of our units as single and 2 bedrooms, whereas, you know, you could, I guess, create a compliant project that has the right amount of dwelling units, but has heavily weighted, you know, 4 and 5 bedroom units. So understanding the market, you know, catering to RIT and the availability of different housing within the area, we feel it's important to provide a higher density of 1 and 2 bedroom units, which does increase our overall density slightly, but obviously keeps the bed count within what we have available space for, as you can see on the site plan. Along with the concept plan that we've provided to you here for the 2 special permits, we did submit a traffic study within the East River Road corridor. And I'll start by just saying that we did go out and take current traffic counts as part of that study. But as we have done with all of our traffic studies since about a year ago, is, you know, sometimes we use a weight to account for the COVID traffic, but in this case, it was severely less traffic than you would expect within this corridor. So within the traffic study, you'll note that we're not using the traffic counts that we collected currently. What we did is we digressed back to the 2018 East River Road corridor study to provide data that's more realistic, and then we forecasted that out to the build condition of this project. You know, we did collect the data. We have gap data within that. We did site distance calculations and trip generation. And the conclusion of the study, based on the residential uses and the available gaps within the corridor, there will not be any mitigation measures and any concerns with respect to capacity. There is a knoll, there is a high spot just north of the northerly driveway, and part of the recommendations was to ensure that there would be proper signage to indicate southbound traffic that there is a driveway ahead sign. So it's limited to some signage, but there is no overall concerns with traffic, and that study was provided to you within our application packet. That study also did not include what's anticipated for this being purpose-built student housing to have a shuttle to further reduce trips, you know, within the East River Road corridor and provide the students a way to get to and from campus, not only by the convenience of, you know, pedestrian modes with, you know, either walking or bicycles to the campus because it is such a short distance, but also having the availability of the shuttle, especially during the winter months. The other component that we submitted was a phasing plan. Obviously, we are anticipating hopefully your approval of the special permits, which would lead us into a more detailed review of the site plan process with the planning board in order to get those plans approved. And what we have shown on the phasing plan is that upon approval by the planning board of the site plans, we would commence phase 1, which would be the residential and park space as the main component of the project. And at the same time, once the approvals are in hand, be able to start marketing to different developers, the industrial piece in the back, which could either be a build to suit situation or subdivided for a developer to take on as their own project. So very much a 2-phased project with the entirety of the residential and amenity areas being constructed first, hopefully starting in the fall of this year. And then on the onset of the approvals, marketing the industrial space to a potential developer, either as a build to suit or a subdivided lot. With that, I think I've gone through the general overview of the project. And if any of the council members or supervisor have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Sure. I'm going to run down a number of bullets. First, with regards to the driveway, we've had a number of discussions with the Monroe County DOT, who is ultimately responsible for your driveway cuts since it's a county road. They do have a number of issues with sight lines. There are actually 2 locations where the sight lines would be good. The problem is, I don't think either of them are actually on your parcel. One of them is the driveway from that old farmhouse. There's no secret why it was put there at the top of the hill, because it has good sight lines in both directions. So I don't know what the relationship is with the house that's there and how that driveway works, but one of the things they had said is if there was any way to move one of the drives to that location, that would help tremendously. For the southern one, what they would, and the town would love to see, especially once that goes, since that would be the industrial entrance, would be to see if it can line up with Eagle View Drive, which is coming out of the lodge and where there is a light. That is on the parcel immediately to the south of yours. I did approach the folks who are working on that parcel about the possibility of you guys working out some sort of deal. They're not using that portion of the parcel other than to bring the, the continuation of the East River Road sidewalk through their parcel. But I would like you to, between now and similar to the last, let me take a step aside for a moment, similar to the last application, they are also going to need a second special permit, because again, there has to be one for the establishment of the multiple use, and then there's, the mixed use, and then there is one for the residential housing. So once again, we will not be ruling on this one tonight, but as I said, because they were on the agenda, we wanted to have the full discussions. It also allows us to get some of the information back up there. I would like you to get in touch with the developer of the project to the south. If you send an email to me at supervisor@henrietta.org, I can put you guys in touch, and I'd like you to have that discussion, because I will say it will greatly help your project if the industrial road can come in off of the light. The other thing that might be a possibility is that the second entrance would be a right in, right out. Because the problem is making that left turn, especially if there were any trucks or larger vehicles just to the south of the crest of the hill, could be a very dangerous situation. That's the biggest thing that Monroe County has an issue with this particular parcel. And so, like I said, that's something that we'd like to take a look at before you guys come back. As far as the density, in that, I'm going to take a look at your plan and go through it. And again, the mixed use development is new. We've got a number of people doing it right now, but you're kind of some of the first people going through this. So we'll go through and make sure that the density calculations are matching what we're expecting. With that said, I also understand your point that density calculations are based off of units and not bedrooms. And obviously 10 4-bedroom apartments have a very different occupancy than 4 1-bedroom apartments. So I understand your point, and we can certainly take a look at that. But it's also possible that your density might not be as high as you currently have it calculated. We'll have to take a look at that. And one of the other things I'll note on that is with the civic space, one of the things that sometimes happens, so assuming the civic space is marked in green, some of that civic space is more accurately, green space within the residential portion. So again, that might change the density calculation depending on how you guys did it. But you're well over the amount of required civic space. So even if we dial some of that back, you should still be okay. Again, the rules are new and we don't have a whole lot of good cases for you guys to look at to see how we intended to have this calculated. So, you know, hopefully you'll be patient with us as we go through this, and we'll certainly be patient with you. I also received during this a comment from the property owners to the north. They would like to discuss the possibility of carrying the industrial drive later to the north up to their property, because they are, same thing, planning on the eastern side at some point doing similar to you guys, doing a mixed use development and having industrial on that side as well. And so their thought is they, like you, would have a problem finding a second good industrial entrance. So they, if by connecting those two, essentially any trucks heading north on East River would be able to go to the north side of the hill on that, what would effectively form a loop road, and be able to make a right turn to the north. Anybody who's heading southbound would be able to come around the south end, and especially if they can make that turn at the light, that would be the safest for situation all around. So again, when you send me that email, I'll try to put you in touch with the folks to the north of you as well. And then in terms of the big parking lot on the north end, I don't know if you guys have considered land banking that, or if your calculations determine you're definitely going to need that early on. I do know that there are some calculations that the number of parking spaces needed for student housing is often less than what's needed for market rate. And so if you think that's potentially excess parking as beyond the need, you may want to consider land banking, which basically just means you don't pave it until it's needed. And then finally, as far as the phasing plan, one of the things, if you, as part of that plan, if you're not doing the industrial portion immediately, it needs to either be left in its natural state, or if you put utilities and or infrastructure in, and or some grading, it needs to be immediately stabilized and returned to, with grass planted. It cannot be left in a non-stabilized state during the awaiting phase. So those are all my notes. I don't know if you have any questions on any of those.
No, I can appreciate every comment. I understood every one of them and I took notes. So I look forward to sending you that email and we'll get in touch with those adjacent property owners, and most of the other things I understood as well. And if we need to, we can, talk about them between now and the next meeting as well. So I have no issues with any of the comments that you provided.
Great, thank you. Questions? So again, we're not going to be making our decision, but if you got questions, especially something that they might have to research to get back to you.
You mentioned that 50% of the units would be 1 and 2 bedroom units, correct?
Yes, it's about roughly it's 50 units that are 1 bedroom, 50 units that are 2 bedroom, and then 100 units that are 4 bedroom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this was 30. The whole project is 37 acres, I think I saw.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, and then so that 30% that you're leaving for industrial, so it'd be about 11 acres, right?
Correct.
How much is that usable? I see that we got some wetlands that go right through the middle of it.
Yeah. So when you look at the, obviously an industrial, this could be set up any different way depending on what developer wants to, be a tenant to this piece or purchase this piece. We did do a preliminary wetland screening, and I think as we move through the planning board process, we may find that a lot of these wetlands that we're showing are isolated. They're smaller pockets, and if they're not hydraulically connected to any navigable waterway of the United States, that they could be deemed as isolated. So it may actually open up a little bit more area for that to be buildable. And if that's the case, it would probably be the full 10 or 11 acres. In this case, you know, half of it would provide a very substantial pad site. But the finger of wetland, if it does stay, kind of encumbers that south half, and you wouldn't really be able to traverse over it. So it would probably be limited to what we're showing, which is maybe a 40 or 50,000 square foot building. Unless, as we mentioned, the wetlands become isolated and they are able to be developed on, it could present a little bit more building footprint for the industrial user.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're, you know, I want to figure out, I'll have to ask here about, you know.
The acreage under the wetland itself doesn't count, but if it isolates in terms of from the way the land is laid out, even though it's isolating that portion there, I mean, they could conceivably put parking over there and people would have to walk, you know, but to his point, if it is pocket wetland, it could in theory be removed. But yes, any designated wetland, when they're doing the calculation, should be subtracted out from the acreage total. But if it chops off a corner of usable land, you don't subtract out the usable land. You just subtract out the wetland.
But if it was, when we use those figures of the percentage wise, that's what I'm asking is if
yeah, so percentage wise,
it's wetland,
right,
50%. The point is,
I'm just using
right. Yeah. So right. So you wouldn't count. So let's say it's 37 acres, of which 3 acres are wetland. So your denominator would be 34 acres. If that portion over there was 12 acres, of which 3 were wetlands, that would be 9. Count as 9. If there's a portion that because of the wetlands, it is developable land, but it's not readily used and it's more cost effective for them to just leave it empty, that is fully allowed. They don't have to, there's no requirement from the town certainly to develop every inch of the property. In fact, we prefer there to be open space. So, but the way the calculation works is when you're talking about developable land, you don't count wetlands, you don't count open bodies of water, you don't count slopes that are greater than 15%.
So, you know, on this mixed use development, if somebody said, well, this is going to be our industrial part of it, and none of it was usable.
If none of it was usable, then it couldn't be your industrial portion.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying, obviously, a lot of, if you look at this, some of this won't be usable.
Well, it depends what you mean by not usable. If it's hard to get to because of the wetlands, but it is developable land, it still counts in that total.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, for the industrial property, with it being set back so far is, and you kind of hit on it when you said the neighbor to the north, is one access road permittable or, okay.
No,
there is
no.
a second road out. But again, we prefer them not to mix industrial and residential traffic, or to separate them as much as possible.
Right, I just see the one access road to the industrial land.
To the industrial, right. So, I mean, you have a single drive into a lot of industrial properties themselves.
Yeah, and we did configure this so that, and the supervisor touched on it, knowing that there was the potential for the area to the north to also have a split of mixed use, that there could be, you know, some future cross access, which I'm assuming we'll pursue in the next couple of weeks based on the supervisor's contact for us. But yeah, very much we need 2 driveways to the site in general, just for emergency access and multiple points of entry, but that we tried to establish one of them to be more specific to that use, and then one to be more specific to the residents.
Right. Yeah, that again, they were in for a preliminary. We talked about that, and they absolutely did it like we had asked, where they tried it. Again, you can use one or the other depending on especially in an emergency situation, but the idea is one was geared more towards residential traffic, one was geared more towards the industrial traffic. So in that regards, they absolutely laid it out along those lines.
And just one final one. So if I figured it out correct, 550 bedrooms.
Correct. Somewhere thereabouts. I can get the actual number for you. It might be like 537 or something. But yes, you're correct. Obviously, as opposed to, 8 dwelling units per acre being, if you had all 4 and 5 bedrooms, you could have 800 something cars here. So it was definitely a purpose that the developer intended to provide a heavily weighted mix of 1s and 2s specific to the market. And that's why we proposed the change in the dwelling unit.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, how do you determine the need for student housing? Has there ever been any sort of an evaluation done to determine the need for student housing?
I would see if Jared has his microphone on, maybe he would be able to tell you a little bit about the interest in the area. Are you on, Jared?
Good evening. Does that work now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, sorry, we were trying to get it off mute. Good evening, everybody. This is Jared Hutter, managing principal for Aptitude Development. Really appreciate everyone taking the time tonight to look at this. So, yeah, to answer your question specifically, we ultimately we will conduct a third-party market study. But typically, and which we've done in this case, is we do our own internal market analysis, understanding what the beds are on campus, what the growth plan is for a university, what all the options are on and off campus. And certainly we understand, that there's been, a decent amount of development, and there currently is a fairly large project that is going up. But ultimately, that large project was really a lot of replacement of older buildings. So, we think that high quality student housing is, a really good proposition for both the students to succeed and also the towns that they sit in. Pulling people out of the shadow market and putting them into a purpose-built building with, professional management, all the health and safety measures that go with it. So we have determined in using our own internal methods that there is a need here, and that this product will, fit very well into the market. The last thing we would ever want to do, given that we put our money into these deals, that we would not want to build a project that we don't think will be, highly successful.
So one of the other things I had forgotten to put on my list of bullets, I'm going to add now. One of the things we would like to see is that all the units are at least wired for the deaf and hard of hearing, whether you have the strobes installed or not. We'd like the conduits there. So that way, again, there's a large deaf and hard of hearing community at RIT, and we'd like them to have the freedom to live in any of these.
We are well aware, and we always try and do everything we can to design our product to fit well with the specific markets that the products sit in. So absolutely something was on our radar, and we're more than happy to do it.
Right, thank you.
How many stories are these buildings?
Each one of the buildings is 3 stories, so it'll conform to the height regulations of the district.
Lisa or Rob?
No questions.
Any questions from the public, either in or online? Well, again, thank you for coming in. And do you know what the date is for the other special use permit?
Is that a question for me, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
I was assuming they were both being heard tonight, but I can catch up with Jenny and make sure that,
Because basically we have a requirement to get it out to the Monroe County Planning. They have to have time to review it. There's no way we could have gotten the second one on for tonight.
Okay. I do believe that Jenny has the full application materials that were sent last week. So I'm assuming that process is currently underway, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. and we'd be happy to obviously come back at the next meeting.
It is underway. We just can't rule on it until we hear from Monroe County Planning.
Yeah, and if all that is in order for the next meeting, we'd be happy to come back.
Yep, we would do them both at the same time. That's the plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Steve, they are in the group that will be heard on March 24th.
Okay. So hopefully we can also, hopefully handle some of the issues from the driveway, because like I said, I know that's a strong concern of the Monroe County DOT and a potential adverse impact from a seeker standpoint. So if we can, do something with the driveways to eliminate those bad sight lines, that would be advantageous. And of course, the last thing I will mention is I think I've made you guys aware that this project, like all projects on East River Road, are subject to the seeker mitigation fees, which are calculated based on the amount of traffic that added to the AM and PM peak travel times. And that is because of all the development on East River Road corridor to deal with the congestion that all adds, we are making significant, and when I say we, I primarily mean Monroe County, are making significant improvements to the corridor to better deal with the additional traffic. And so a year or two ago, we performed a study, calculated what the developers' contributions would be, divided that by the total number of projected trips that would be added, and that's where we got the per trip rate. So
understood.
Yep. Okay.
One question. What projects do you have like this in our area right now?
So from an applicant standpoint, we have recently built 2 projects in Syracuse. Both are very well received, and we're breaking ground on a project in Ithaca in probably about the next 6 weeks or so. And we've also been looking at some other projects in the Buffalo area. So we're based here in New Jersey. We know upstate New York very well. We spent a lot of time up there, and it's a place that we are excited to continue to invest in.
In Syracuse, what university or college are you serving there?
Syracuse University.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and thank you to the council members. And I will be in touch with you in short order so that we can get some of these items addressed before the next meeting.
Great. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And that concludes the Wednesday, February 24th, 2021 Henrietta Town Board Special Use Permit meeting. We will adjourn and take a couple-minute break, and then we will start the town board hearing. Town board meeting. We'll stop the broadcast and restart it with the